Okay, so I'm here with the filmmakers, Paul and Joseph, who are behind this film 101, which has been nominated for our festival in London in 2018. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. If one of you could give me a brief synopsis of the film, tell me what the film is about, please. The documentary film, I should say.
Yes, it's tribute to the film J'accuse by Abel Gance.
I have seen J'accuse.
Yes, it's a famous anti-war film, and it's a silent movie, a classical silent movie. And our film deals about the Battle of Tannenberg. Took place in 1914 in the East Prussia.
Yeah.
It was a battle between the German army and the Russian army. And Tannenberg is the area in East Prussia. Now it's Poland.
Yeah.
It's Poland. But during the First World War, Poland didn't exist. Poland was divided in three parts: German part, Russian part, and Austrian part.
Before the First World War?
During the First World War, yeah.
Sorry.
And after the First World War, Poland
became unified. We would say unified.
Well, independent.
Yeah,
independent.
Okay,
independent.
Then the three sectors became one country.
And this year we have the Setno Rošice.
In a 100th anniversary.
This year is 100th anniversary of the independence of Polish.
Of course,
state.
1918, the end of the first. Yeah, of course it will be. Yeah. So, why did you decide to make this film?
The moment we decided to make the film was 100th anniversary of the breakout of the.
Sorry, I didn't frame that very well. I understand that, but then who came up with the idea for how did it all start to did someone say, oh, it's 100th anniversary? I mean, can you give us an idea of where this, someone obviously had the idea of making this film, but how did that kind of happen? Does that make sense?
Jak wpadłeś na to, Józef, żeby ten
It
film
was
zrobić?
it was the idea of Paweł Siedlik, the second director.
Yeah.
He can't be here today.
Yeah.
He is my colleague from the film school in Lodz, and he is very interested in history. And during the First World War happened a very important battle nearby Lodz, and he. It was his idea, and I helped him to reconstruct the German scenes. The scenes with generals of the German side.
Yes, kind of depicted in the posters.
And I played the role of General Hoffmann. On the German side, there were three important decisions. The Hindenburg was a chief of the army. Later there was a second chief was ten drugi, jak się nazywał?
Nikolaj Nikolajewicz?
Nie, Ludendorff.
Yeah.
Very famous general, and I played the second, General Hoffmann.
Can you explain the title 101?
The title is dependence of the time we made the film. We made the film. We began to make the film in
2015.
We made it two years, from 15 to 17.
Yeah.
But in the moment we began the film in 2015, it was 101 year after the breakout of the First World War.
It doesn't quite. It's not quite, is it? I've got you. The 101.
It's a mathematical question.
interpretation.
From 1914 to 2015.
So I suppose, because ultimately I suppose you would want to call it 100, wouldn't you? I guess because I'm kind of thinking the 101.
This is more interesting.
Well, I asked you. Of course. Now it's always difficult whether it's a documentary or narrative feature to recreate historical scenes because essentially you're recreating a moment in history from 100 years ago. So how difficult was it to do that, to actually try and recreate some of the facts that happened during this time period? I imagine it was quite difficult.
The film consists of a lot of pictures. This is archive.
I'm kind of talking about this fitting into those kind of scenes, to be honest.
You're talking about this.
Yeah, because you said you're recreating some of it, and that's often quite difficult to do, isn't it? I know it's sort of quite simple, perhaps. But
This is a lot of difficult because you need outfits and whole groups to reconstruct the battles, and it was very difficult because you need guns from these years and outfits and some
uniforms.
And they all have to be correct, don't they?
Yeah.
And forgive me for saying this, but recreation equals expensive because, of course, these things, presumably, I'm not trying to ask you the budget, but that can be quite expensive, I think, trying to do that. As well as other documentary filmmakers have explained to me, when you're trying to find archive material, they did explain, other documentary filmmakers said that's actually quite an expensive thing. Is that the same for this film as well?
Yeah. Sometimes it's quite expensive, but we have a lot of friends who are historians and he have uniforms and guns and replics of some guns, and this is quite easy for us.
Okay. And were you trying to have a kind of point of view about this? I mean, what was it you were trying? I know it was the 100th anniversary, of course, but what is it ultimately you were trying to show when you made this film? What was kind of the point of it, really?
This is anti-war film. We have to show to people the war is bad, and every time this is not a good solution. And the war in the world are always, it was the World War I, World War II, and some other events later. And war always are bad, and this is not a good solution.
Yeah, but the motivation is concretely the situation now in the world.
Yes.
Because in 2015 we had the attack or the annexion of the Crimea. Yes, it was a revenge after the Second World War. No, yes, it was a revenge after the falling down in the wall.
The Berlin
fall
Wall.
Down in Berlin, 1989. It was a defeat for the Russians.
Yeah.
Yes. And after 25 years...
You're talking about the Berlin Wall, yeah?
The Berlin Wall, yes.
Yeah.
And after 25 years, 1989 plus 25 is 2014. Is the second anniversary of the breakout of the First World War.
Yeah. And this is
mathematically.
It's
mathematic.
Yeah.
Yes. If someone lose a war, he thinks about the revenge. It was after the First World War. We had the Germans lose the war, and after nearly 25 years, Hitler attacked Poland and began the Second World War. The Second World War was a continuation of the First World War. After the Second World War, we have the Cold War. Cold War was longer war, but the end of the Cold War was 1989 year.
With the collapse of,
the collapse. And after 25 years, we had the beginning of the situation now. We have a war now. We have an economic war. We have the sanctions between Europe and Russia. We have a war now. A financial war. But we have a war in the media. We have a war in the internet. We have the attacks.
Do you think any war can be justified? That's a difficult question, I know.
Any war can be?
In your opinion, can any war be justified?
No, I think not.
What about the Second World War?
The point of views, this is a lot of the point of views.
Well, no, it's a simple question. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is, I agree. I agree in the main with what you're saying. I think all wars could be very difficult to justify, but I'm just trying to understand how you could not have had a war with Hitler. It would be very difficult, and it would be very difficult for me not to be able to say that was a justified war. Now, there's things about that war that are terrible on both sides, but I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm just trying to understand how you could have stopped him in any other way. And it's a very difficult subject, but I'm only being honest, you know. And so 99.9% of wars, I totally agree, are unjustified. But it would be hard to understand how you could not have had the Second World War. It's a difficult one. I'm not saying.
Yeah,
do you see what I'm saying?
It's very difficult.
It's a very difficult one. But I think, I mean, obviously none of us were alive then. We're talking about a period of time when you had, let's be honest, a megalomaniac who was intent on world domination and would do anything to subjugate anyone that didn't agree with his point of view. And I think it would have been, who knows what would happen. But the point is, and forgive me, I do not want to see one person killed, but I'm trying to see it from a different point of view. And so, you know, I just wondered what you feel about that. It's a hard question, I know.
Yeah. This is one of the hardest questions in the world. I can't answer this question, you know, because
I think appeasement.
I don't know.
I just believe that with him, appeasement would have been very difficult. You know, it would be difficult. It would be hard.
No, że to jest bardzo jakby.
Jakie jest jego pytanie? Na które nie możemy odpowiadać.
Że to jest bardzo trudne pytanie, czy wojna, to znaczy. Jaki był sens tej wojny? To czy można wyłonić kogoś, kto miał rację? Drugiej przede wszystkim. World War II.
The Second World War was a consequence.
It's a consequence of
a consequence of the First War.
Yeah.
And now we have a situation is a consequence of the Second World War. Is the domination of Germany now in Europe. The consequence is the Brexit, perhaps.
I'm not arguing that the Second World War is as a consequence of the First World War, and I think, frankly, Hitler had an axe to grind, and you know, with the and possibly wanted some kind of revenge, and for whatever reason, World War II happened, and you may well be right. But the point I was trying to make was, I don't know how you could not have gone to war. It would have been very difficult because of the type of person that he was. So. You can see the kind of point I'm making, and Brexit. I mean, you use it. I'm not sure that you can define Brexit as being a consequence of a hangover from World War II.
But it's difficult for Great Britain, for Poland, for the earlier. Now, Europe is a community of countries.
Yeah.
But 100 years later, there were enemies.
Yeah, that's right.
And now we have the situation. Okay, now we have to be gentle to Germans. We have to smile. But the history is a dictation.
Forgive me, but I think that the whole reason for Brexit is varied. I'm not sure I would suggest for a moment there's anything to do with a conflict. I think there's socio-economic reasons. There's reasons for immigration. There may be fiscal reasons. You've got to understand that in the UK, when we voted for Brexit, which I don't agree with in any way, shape or form.
But you remember Margaret Thatcher after 89?
Of course I do.
The words the Germans want to the union.
Well, yeah, but then you're talking about federalism. We're going off kilter here a bit. You know, you might be talking about a moment in time where people believe that some people believe that Germany was in it to basically run the European Union, run the Europe. I don't have a particular point of view. I don't subscribe to that. I think people that look at it that way are narrow-minded, and I certainly don't agree with that. I can remember people arguing that. I think Brexit, for a whole host of reasons, people have decided, in my opinion, wrongly, to exit the European Union. But that's my personal point of view. But I think there's dozens of reasons why this has happened. And I also believe if we had a referendum now, the result would be different.
Yes.
Because I think people have looked at the precipice.
It's a good news.
Yeah, I think people have looked at that precipice and said, I don't want to be part of that. And I think if you had a vote now, I think the result would be completely different. It would be the complete opposite. You know, it's a very difficult. A lot of these things may be intertwined. I'm not sure that I'm not sure. I don't know. You may find people in our country who we would suggest are what would be known as little Englanders that want to be part of don't want to be part of the European Union. But I think it's a very complex issue, if I'm honest.
It's a lot of reasons.
There's loads of reasons. You know, socio-economic, immigration, border control. You know, it's very, very difficult to say why we did it, and unfortunately why we did it, because I certainly don't agree with that. But that's my point of view.
Yeah, this is the modern world, you know, and nobody knows which side is going on.
I mean, I don't understand why, you know, we're all part of Europe, that we can't. I don't care if you're from Austria, if you're from Poland, if you're from France or Germany or Spain. I think we should be one family, and I think I can't see the problem, to be honest.
Yeah,
we're kind of going off kilter here.
This is ideal.
Yeah, so. The point I was trying to make about the World War II is, I think you may be right. Maybe Hitler certainly was dismayed with the outcome and felt that Germany was downtrodden, and you know there was terrible things happen. But I'm not sure. I don't know. The reason I'm mentioning is I don't know how you could have avoided it. Honestly, I don't know how you could have done it differently. I mean, you know, it's a very, very. We'll never know. But he was a unique individual at a unique time. Who happened to be the wrong person at the wrong time. And I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know how you could have done it any other way. God forbid we would ever have a war. But it's one war I find difficult to justify how you could have done it differently. You know, that's just sort of how I see things. But anyway.
But now we have a situation in Europe that the nationalism, czyli nationalism is
rising. It's rising.
It's rising. Yes,
it's rising. In Austria,
Great Britain,
in Great Britain,
in Austria, in Poland, in Germany,
everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a worrying moment in time, and we need to look at ourselves and try and understand why that's happening. You know, it may be, and particularly with what's happening in Syria, and I think that's driving right-wing sentiment, if I'm honest, things like that, you know, where people are seeing mass immigration.
Yes.
You know, certainly that happened in Germany, where you had hundreds of thousands of immigrants that were allowed into the country, and whatever your point of view is, I think that's helped to fuel the rise of the right-wing this right-wing group, and it needs to be resolved. But I don't know how you're going to do that. I don't know what the answer is. I'm honest.
Yeah. And this is some kind of what this film about it. You know, this is the war and the consequences, the election and the consequences, and some other events and the consequences, and the history is.
And of course, you've got Trump as well. I mean, you know,
yes.
there's all that. There's and my I have opinion about that as well, of course. And I personally think he's quite a dangerous man, if I'm honest. You know.
Yes.
Dangerous man.
But we're kind of going off piece. So
all what you said now is in the film.
It is. I know. I've seen the film, and it's right to highlight these things. It's just I'm really sorry. We should be talking about your film. I mean, I know. I understand it's an anti-war film, and I applaud that. Has the film you wanted to make been the film that you ended up making? Does that make sense? Is it everything you wanted it to be? I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't know. I don't know. This is everything.
In the beginning, we don't have a script or an idea. We have only the fact, the historical.
So you researched it,
But the research and the situation in the year 2015 push us to
put some new parts in the film. You know, especially Donald Trump.
Yeah. It was.
Yes.
It was. We made it under the pressure of the situation in this time. It was a pressure.
Yeah.
Yes, and we had to reagieren. We have to react. Yes. On the situation. Yes.
Yeah, and I can see what you're trying to say. That certain things are definitely intertwined, and we are living in a dangerous moment now.
Yeah.
If I'm brutally honest, I am worried because I think, particularly with like North Korea, you know, and Trump and you know, the things we shouldn't necessarily discuss. But
it's a lot of conflicts in the world right now.
Yeah, yes.
You know, and also, you know, getting back to the European Union, I mean, the fact is that generally speaking, we have had a pretty peaceful time in Europe. I know you can say the Balkan conflicts, I'm sure you'll bring those up, but you know, I'm talking about the rump state of Europe, the France, the Germanys, the Spains, the Italys. We've been conflict free, so I think if there's one reason that we should be part of, if there's one thing the EU is very good at, it's pretty much ensuring that we've had peace in our time. Because it has been, I'm certain, it has been as a result of us being a bloc. Because I'm certain it makes the chance of war much less likely amongst us. You know.
Yeah. If you look to the past, you know, all these wars. Today we have really peaceful times.
Because, we are.
Because this is
in Europe.
In Europe. Yeah. This is a lot of conflicts, but you know, here in Europe. It's no the conflicts with military, you know. It's no killing people.
Yeah.
So we are happy.
And it's a great film. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I went off a little bit, but off piece as I always do. But you were really lovely to talk to. So thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that went well.
You.
Our English is not.
No.
It's not so
Listen. Forget about that. I have interviewed people whose English is far worse than yours, and you've done very well. So, and you know, I'm not trying to catch you out. The point, you know, sometimes things aren't as black and white as we see. You know, I mean, but it's a complicated world that we live in, and you know,
very complicated.
You know, and the reason I mentioned about the Second World is you know that is a typical example of. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Absolutely, the First World War could have been avoided. I'm certain of that. You know, but and most other wars can. You know, Vietnam, for instance. I'm sure the Balkans, it could have been avoided, but you know, it's difficult with that one. I don't know. Yeah, it's very difficult.
It's always difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Thanks again. Thank you.